Welcome to Ailey Fashion Lovers Chat Show, a platform where we get to empower our community and where we get to invite professionals and business owners to come and empower us. So in today's episode, I'll be talking about men's mental health. This week is the Mental Health Awareness Week, and I've got two men here who will be talking us through about how they've been dealing with their mental health and how you can always manage it wisely. I've got Mr. Adebayo Jones. He's a fashion designer, a mentor, and a presenter as well. So he'll be coming here today to empower us and to talk to us more about men's mental health. So stay tuned to keep on watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe so you can get to see more content that we provide on this very platform. So stay tuned and keep on watching. Hello, Mr. Adebayo.
Hello, and how are you? It's great to see you.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming on board today.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's great to be back here with you. It's always a wonderful time being on your show.
I would like to welcome you to our platform. So welcome to Ailey Fashion Lovers Chat Show.
It is my pleasure, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Good.
I'm delighted to be here.
Good. So Mr. Adebayo, would you please tell my audience what you do?
Well, I have been a fashion designer for well over 3 decades. I'm also a lifestyle entrepreneur. I am a TV show host. I've worked in television majorly around the industry of fashion and fashion television reality shows, mentoring young designers. And we also have an outfit, which is Adebayo Jones Masterclasses, aimed at providing industry professionals with good knowledge, information, and all the skills needed to make their brands notable and successful globally. So that's about me in a nutshell.
Wow, that is magical.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good. So, Mr. Adebayo, in today's episode, we want to talk about men's mental health. Yes. As you are aware that this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and we've decided to bring you on board to talk more about men's mental health. So I've got a couple of questions which I have prepared for you.
Okay.
So before we dive into that question, I would like you to talk more about men's mental health. What does it mean to you? What does men's mental health mean to you?
Well, I think it's a topic that is extremely important. It's a topic that affects a whole lot of people as well, but not one that people have always been able to talk about openly in the past. And I think for me, it's about maintaining good balance with one's life, mind and body, and being able to stay in control of situations, as it were. Maybe when people are dealing with events that have happened in the past or things that are just current, whatever it is, one is always able to, with the right guidance, with right support, understanding of the people around, one is able to then manage the situations effectively, living into a good balance and a very fruitful life.
Good. Thank you so much for that, throwing more insight into this. So do you think this mental health, do you think it's something that the society talk more about in terms of men particularly?
I don't think so, but the perceptions are changing now because you know that the way that men are perceived, you're supposed to be macho, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be able to handle any situation, and there's this manliness and this expression
Yeah.
of masculinity that is attached to being a male. And then I suppose for some, it puts quite a lot of pressure because people are not able to express themselves
Hmm.
and then tend to internalize things a lot.
Hmm.
And then this is what actually builds up the pressure. And then sometimes some are not able to, in my own belief. I'm not an expert, but I'm just talking from what I have seen and noticed around me as well. The one is now able to get into a situation where people might become overwhelmed and not be able to proceed with everyday life and everyday duties as they would have normally. Because now the situation has tended to overwhelm the person rather than the person being in control of whatever the situation and being able to drive it.
Hmm.
So I think, perceptions are changing. We've seen more and more people coming up and talking about these issues and what they've experienced and stuff. And then so whether you're a man or a woman facing challenging situations, it's something that a lot of people go through. But support systems and how they're able to overcome is the determining factor in my own perspective.
Yeah. Good. Good. So, I mean, let me go this way. I know we're Africans, yeah.
Yeah.
So whilst I was growing up, I've never heard of people talking about this,
Mhm.
and I think from my point of view, I think men needs to be helped more, to be supported to talk more about this. So do you think this is a taboo, or why is it that we don't really talk about it?
Mm. It's quite interesting. I think culture plays a great role in determining how people handle or share about certain things. And with the culture as Africans, it's not something that um, people would openly talk about because you're supposed to be a man, you're supposed to be a strong, you're supposed to be strong, and then you are to be able to, weather any storm, anything that comes without really showing that you are under pressure in any way, but we're all human, aren't we? So, and sometimes a problem aired is a problem shared. In discussing certain issues, you might find that what you think is an elephant is actually a mole with just the right perspective and support from whoever it is that you're sharing with as well. But the society has not really um, encourage people to share such. But I think it's getting better now that people are able to openly talk about the state of their minds and whatever issues that they're facing, and then being able to get the right support as well.
Wow, good. So I'll ask you a personal question. you
Yes.
I know you've got tons of experience right in your hands. So have you undergone anything like this before? Any mental health thing you can relate to? Any story you can relate to at all?
Oh, the mind is extremely precious,
Mm.
and we must guard it jealously. And it is not always easy um, having that consciousness, that effort, but with making that decision, it always gets better. Worry is temporary, and worry is usually short term.
Mm.
And there's a concerning situation. Say, for example, we had the situation with COVID, and when it first came, everybody was worried. We didn't know what this thing was.
Mm.
It came in, and people, there were speculations on loads of things. Oh my God, if you do this, does that, if you do this, you catch it, if you do something. Everybody was in that state of worry and a little bit of anxiety, but you'll find that, worry prods you to use problem solving skills to address your concerns if you handle it rightly. Anxiety, however, is persistent. Even when concerns are unrealistic, it often compromises one's ability to function. So you find that even when now there was more lights coming in about the COVID situation, and people were now settling down and a lot of the worries were reduced, there were those who then would take this worry into another state completely where they would panic themselves into a state of helplessness. And not to condemn or to judge anybody, it's just everybody's strength is different in how they perceive situations and how they handle it. But if you are going to make yourself sick about whether or not you catch it or not, when we were talking about COVID, why don't you put a good time in the preventative measures, you know, and then know that you've done your best and relax your mind and then have a positive outlook that you will ride this through. And I think that's a better way of looking at things. But everyone has had some point or the other, had issues on their mind that has made them worry, panic a little, maybe feel a little anxious or so. But how you deal with it, is the determining factor. And for me, what works for me is my faith. That comes in as the very tools that I use in balancing situations, because when I look into the word according to my faith as a Christian,
Yep.
then it tells me all about worry. Why should I worry? Because God says he will never leave me nor forsake me. So when I take comfort in those words, knowing that I'm not alone, and whatever it is that I face is never bigger than me or bigger than my God. So that puts my mind at rest. I find peace, assurance. I do my part. I pray, and then in faith, I work. And that is what I find what works for me. People have different beliefs and systems, so they might be able to find something in whatever the belief systems are. But for me, I find things steady through my faith in God.
That is really good. That's
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, would you say? I don't want to say. Okay. Would you say the society is not looking after men's mental health in a good way, or would you say the society is bad for not talking more about this in the past?
I think the perceptions are changing.
Okay.
From what it is in the past, where people would not even openly talk about whatever issues that they were dealing with in terms of maybe anxieties or worries or dealing with issues of, as they call it today, mental health. So I think that it's changing gradually. The more people that, particularly people who are well known, celebrities, and stuff and all that, like Prince Harry came and he talked about his struggles when his mom passed away as a young man, and all the stuff he had to deal with, made people understand his situation and be able to walk in sympathy with him. And that is what I think happens now, that more light has been shed on those areas. People are able to now understand what people are going through when they say they have issues with or struggles with mental health. They are more understanding, more accepting, and then they can also help in providing the much needed support that the men need, in my own perspective.
Good. Thank you. That's really good. So have you ever sometimes feel so worried that about something that it really affected your mental health as a man? As a man, yes.
You can't walk in passion, not to worry, not be stressed in any way, kind of thing. It's just particularly when preparing for shows,
Okay.
the stress is horrendous. You know, you're under pressure constantly. Are you going to meet your target? Are you not? Sometimes you have to work with partners who are outside of your atelier, and so that means um, the setting of your goals on the achievement is dependent on those people fulfilling their parts. You know, and so all those different things are going on. You presented 1,001 things, which bring up a lot of pressure on one. And it is sometimes, you know, tough in those situations where you're preparing for shows. Your blood pressure seems to be like, oh, out ticking itself. However, I find that, you know, I developed a process of understanding when your best is enough.
Mm.
When you know that you've done the very best that you can, you have pushed yourself the very best, because there are also situations where you can push yourself and you don't want to end up making yourself ill because you want to achieve a goal, physically ill in a way that you know that you are now able to accomplish that which you set out to do and to function properly. So I now operate a system which is putting in your very best, knowing within yourself that you put in your very best, and getting to the point where you say, okay, this is great enough. We've done as much as we can, and we're going to make the best of what we have at hand, which helps one to find good balance, acceptance,
Okay.
and be able to use effectively what you have achieved and you have at hand with you. It is also vital that I say that you must have ways that um, you guard your mind, you guard your health. And for me, I'm talking about meditation.
Okay.
And there's some wonderful channels on YouTube with Christian meditation.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Okay.
So these are things that help your mind to focus, to find peace, and be able to regulate whatever pressures that you think that you are experiencing in that particular moment
Okay.
as well. So I think that is very, very important. But everybody goes through those moments.
Oh,
You have deadlines, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, or other worries as well that people come in. But then for me, there is faith, which I find solace in. There's a word which I use over the situations in putting my mind at peace. That why worry? You haven't. Why worry about tomorrow? You have enough to deal with today itself. You know, so there's no point worrying about tomorrow. Focus on today. Deal with the issues. Get through it. When tomorrow comes, we will address tomorrow, and that is a lighter way, I think, of dealing with life and all the issues that come our way.
wow. Thank you. You mentioned something. You said there are some certain meditation you use during the day, during the
Yes,
afternoon period, and probably.
first thing in the morning as well. It's great.
Okay.
10 minutes, 20 minutes. And it just sets your mind in a state of peace and appreciation. You know what it is to focus on the good. When you say, in this 20 minutes, I'm going to use good breathing
Okay.
techniques, inhaling, exhaling, focusing on God, His goodness, every goodness, and leaving out everything else in terms of, and it's just amazing. You know, I was sharing this with somebody yesterday, and they said, "Oh my gosh, send me the videos." And I sent about 3 videos, and they called me back and said the next day and said, "I tried it in the morning, and this was just awesome."
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much for sharing this. So, I have a question here.
Yes.
Have you ever felt so anxious or that you ended up having something like a sign of like a panic attack or something? Did you experience that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I had to work out. That's why I had to work out that method and that way of dealing with stuff and saying, why put yourself through a state of worry over something that does not even come?
Hmm.
What is worry in itself? Worry is about focusing on a particular situation or thing, you know, that has not even happened in most cases, you know, and then you drain yourself. It causes one to feel anxious and troubled about actual or potential problems. And half the time, what people worry about are things that have not even happened. They may be things that they are going through, and then they play every different scenario possible outcome. And then this drives them into a state of more worry, you know. And it's amazing looking back at it now. But um, you know, still it would everything that I'm talking about would have been based on work, achieving goals, deadline. We have to do a collection. We have to get this. Then I worry, oh, are we going to be finished? Is it going to be ready? Are the people going to be sitting down? And then the collection wouldn't be ready. Is so and so going to finish their part? Will I have the embroidery? Is the look going to come out right? And then you drive yourself into some state of despair. And then you look at it later where you can manage it properly and you say, you know what? Do your best. When you've done your best and you know that you're putting your best effort, take what you have in hand and use that, concentrate on that. And you find eventually that all the things that you were worrying about, really, you know, you could have done without. Because sometimes the best at hand can achieve a lot more than all the bigger things that you wish you had.
Wow. Oh my God. So despite that you've, been a fashion designer, because you've just given us a case study here. So being
Yes,
a fashion designer, top fashion designer, I would say, you've got tons of people, tons of teams around you. So despite
yes,
that you've assigned everybody's roles to them, yet you
yes.
still end up panicking a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And then it comes from this, which is almost, um, I'll try and find a way for it. You know, when you always prepare that everything will be perfect,
Hmm.
but then is there ever anything that is perfect as we know it? And I think, you know, when you resolve to working with the best of what's on the table, you know, when you put in your best efforts, accept that, work with that, and then in your spirit and your soul, you know that you find the much needed peace, you know, and then you don't judge yourself like, oh, if only I'd pushed myself better, then maybe that would have come out in a different way. Because really, how many hours can you work in a day? When we're making collections, sometimes we're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day if you're lucky, you know, and you keep driving and you wake up the next day and you're back at it and you're not sleeping properly. To grab lunch becomes it's known before you realize that you haven't even had breakfast because you have a drive. You're in an overdrive. You want to finish. You want to get everything sorted. But now everything needs a balance. The body needs its balance. The mind needs its balance. You need to be in control of everything. So when you take care of the body, you take care of the mind, you put good you eat well, you sleep well, and you still work hard the best you can. I think you're in the best position to manage things easier and you get better results.
Wow. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So you've just talked about something. You're saying we shouldn't be hard on ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. You know, a lot of people put unreasonable expectations
Hmm.
on themselves, which causes them to drive and to push in excess, and then which brings on extra weight. And then they, because they have set these goals which are unrealistic, they
Oh.
then judge their successes and
Mm,
failures based on the performance.
mm,
Isn't it better to set 4 or 5 tasks in a day and be able to achieve those,
mm.
and then to set another for another day than to set 15 and then be able to achieve 5, and then you judge yourself as having failed that day because you set out 15 unrealistic goals, and you were only able to do 5, which is, the max that you could have achieved anyway. So I think goals should be realistically set,
Okay.
and then you shouldn't overburden oneself with targets that is not achievable.
Okay.
Because then, if one is a person who self reflects, then you're going to look back, sit back, and judge the day or judge that moment or that season or that week, period, whatever it is, and look at it like a failure. Whereas, if the goals had been much more realistic, it's actually been successful because you've achieved much in those that you were able to do. So that's what I tend to do now. And you find also as well, one of the limiting factors for people being able to achieve things are distractions. How do we manage these distractions? One, goals that are too much to achieve, and then distractions that come in, and which is based on being able to prioritize in
Mhm.
order of importance which of the tasks are priority and to address them accordingly.
Okay.
So if you set out tasks to do, and an email has to be sent back to maybe a business organization you
Mm.
worked in, and you had put it at number 4 rather than number 1, I think that email should be dealt with first,
Okay.
and then you do that, you take care of that, and then you do the next task, and then deal with things, prioritizing the order of importance, and then making them realistic, avoiding distractions as much as possible, because those are some of the reasons why goals are not being achieved in the first place.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So you set out to achieve 5 things, and then the phone goes in the morning, and somebody wants to yak and chat with you for 3 hours. How on earth is that going to be possible? So you have to look and be able to say between the hours of 9 and 1, no calls, no calls. And then I'll put my phone on from this to this time, then I can take or return calls on that. And that way, people can balance, things easier, and it works a lot better as well.
Okay.
That's in my own perspective, but with others, it might be difficult.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo. So, I have a question here.
Yes.
So, I mean, there is a saying that there is a very high rate of men committing suicide
Hmm.
due to this mental health.
Yes.
What would you say is driving them towards that? Or what are the things that are likely to drive people towards that?
Every time I hear that someone has taken their life in a way, it makes one feel very sad. And it makes them feel very sad in the sense that they must have been in such pain and anguish and looked all around and found and decided that there is no way out of that situation.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's quite um, a sorry state for anyone to pass through, and alone as well. And sometimes you have people even who have families, and they still end up taking this road because they have maybe become overwhelmed by whatever situation that it is. But I think that um, it is always very important to have a good network, support a few good people, family, friends, and it's also good to also share issues with one or two trusted people. Not share your problems with the whole world, because not everybody can hold the values of caring what you say and not blabbing all around. But find one or two trusted people that you can share with. In that might be wisdom and the right support. That might be just what is needed to calm that person down in that situation and give a ray of light to hope for the future. And then it might be able to stop such an incident happening. And also, we as people as well, when we have people who say, can you make some time for me? I would like to talk. I have something on my mind bothering me. Please find time. Find time. You know, make time no matter how busy. Find the time to listen to that person. And then do not be dismissive of whatever concerns that they have, because our strengths are different. How we can focus and deal with situations are different. So don't judge anybody, don't judge what they tell you. Listen to them. They want you to listen and offer support. And when you offer that support, make sure you follow up on it. Follow up on them. How are you doing? Can we get together? Let's have a cup of tea. Let's talk some more. Encourage them. Encourage them to find strength. And in these ways, we might be able to help those who are facing situations like this and stop them probably from taking such action as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for going deep about this very topic.
You're welcome.
Yeah. There is one other one which I would like to talk about. It might sound a bit weird. However, I want to throw the question back to you.
Yes.
So, our BLM members, or should I say our Black and ethnic minority,
Yes.
our men, I would say, among the men. So, due to this mental health, I found that some men find it very difficult to communicate. So they keep on bottling this very problem inside them. And the next thing they do is transfer the anger onto people that lives around them. Say, for instance, their wife, and maybe they start maltreating the wife or hitting the wife due to lack of conversation, or lack of communication, and not surrounding themselves with the right people who can always point them to the right direction. So my question is, what kind of response or answer have you got to say in order to educate this kind of people? Because I know there are a lot out there. So I would love you to use this very opportunity to pass on your message onto them.
Thank you. Of course, that issue has been a great concern to so many, and there were even quite a bit of talk at the beginning of the lockdowns about how those incidents, had gone up in that period, because now a lot of people were with those people that perpetrate such actions as well. But it comes from this thing, thinking one, I suppose, maybe not being able to discuss issues, not being able to find help or solutions with emotional things that they deal with. And number three, maybe this the societal thing about masculinity, being macho, I can handle it because I'm a man, kind of thing. Maybe it's probably one of those driving forces, but whatever it is unacceptable to do that. It is unacceptable to, verbally, or physically abuse people um, in that way that it becomes detrimental to their emotional and mental health. And maybe through constant name calling, degrading one, the other person using very derogatory words and reducing and cutting their confidence by the day until the other person is not able to function or feels completely worthless. So they are unacceptable. And I think that when people begin to feel, particularly the males, feel overwhelmed about situations, get some help. Talk to somebody, sit down with somebody and explain what you're going through. And if you're with a professional, they would be able to help the person process the issues, guide them, and offer, solutions that might make them, assess the situations better and not take out their frustrations on those who are around them.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. Thank you very much. You've done really well.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, have you got anything that does motivate you? Say, for instance, when things are not going the way you aim for. So, how do you tend to motivate yourself?
Yes. Okay. One is to you find your passion.
Okay.
And when you say finding your passion, that thing that makes you come alive, because every time you deal in it, there is contentment, there's fulfillment, there's joy, and that affects your whole mood as a person, and really lifts you up. So whether it's art, academia, writing, tech, fashion, charity, animals, food, whatever it is, reading, find something that you love and care about. Number two, don't wait around. Take action. Take action towards it. So if you dream of it, motivate yourself by taking some positive step in the direction of that passion that you love. Number three, kindness. Kindness. We must make a decision within ourselves to be kind.
Mhm.
It is not expensive. It is just a decision to care for people,
Mhm.
to be gentle, to listen, to be giving, charitable, to be supportive with those we call our friends, and even to those we don't know too well. Remember, kindness is not expensive. It is just a decision one makes to be a kind person. And then, like I said earlier, setting the right goals. Um, and not just the right goals, the realistic goals, and then don't judge yourself too much. If you place the standards of the bar so high, you are going to find that you keep falling short of this very same standards. Realize also that you are not perfect, and don't expect anybody else to be perfect. That perfection that you're probably looking for in other people, you would disappoint yourself time and time over. Even if you were perfect, an imperfect person, as we say, coming in would really, you know, level the balance of what it is that you hold forthright. Another thing is to raise others up, be supportive.
Good.
When people come to you, be a yes and person. Listen, don't destroy people's dreams, no matter how crazy. Some of the greatest things that have revolutionized our world today were crazy in the moments that they were, the ideas, became conscious to the person who had them. But over time, when we look at those game changers who changed and revolutionized our world, it was the craziest of ideas nobody thought about then. So please don't tear people down. Every dream is valid. Raise others up. And then don't live in the past. You
Oh.
are not a summation of the past. Live in the present and look forward to the future, because that hope, that light is what drives you into forging forward, going after your goals and having something to live for. And then, of course, treat yourself.
Oh.
Have a self-care day. Spend a little time with yourself. It's also good to enjoy your own company, because even in those moments you refresh, you reflect, and then you're able to at least take your mind in those quiet moments into a state of peace, which is refreshing for the soul. I am not a product of my past. I live in the present. I look forward to the future. And to use affirmations,
Okay.
affirmations daily. I can achieve what I set my heart to do. Nothing is impossible because everything you can imagine is real.
Oh,
Alicia,
thank you so much. My last question here, in terms of men's mental health, how
yes.
do we think the society can help men?
By being supportive, by being understanding,
Okay.
by not placing expectations that are unrealistic on people.
Okay.
And then when people express the desire to talk, take them seriously as well.
Right.
You know, I think with more light coming on, people are becoming more aware and more sympathetic towards issues that people have um, regarding the state of their mind and how to deal with issues,
Yeah.
and not to judge anyone.
Okay.
And also by making time for those around you, those in the workplace, those who are your friends, the families. And then when you see that they're struggling, see what you can do to help and support. I think these measures would go a long way in helping people find balance. Because what's causing most of this? Probably, maybe trauma, maybe current experiences, maybe past experiences, maybe things going on, projections for the future. But whatever it is, you know, a little act of good, the right words, the right support may help somebody stabilize and find the much needed peace and be able to gain control of their lives, which is what it's really about.
Wow. Magical.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Sam. You've done very well.
Thank you.
Okay.
My pleasure. It's always wonderful to join you and chat with you.
Thank you. So, if people want to reach out to you, how can people reach out to you? Have you go your social media? What platform? Can
Yes, yes. So we have on Instagram. I've got my own personal page, which is Adebayo Jones.
Okay.
The brand page is Adebayo Jones.
Okay.
On Facebook, my personal page is Adebayo Jones, and then the business page is Adebayo Jones Luxury. On Twitter, I'm at Adebayo Jones as well. LinkedIn at Adebayo Jones. Any of these mediums, whatever message you get, we will always get back to you. And
Oh.
a lot of the times, I make sure that I catch up my personal messages and respond myself. So don't be surprised when you get a response, because I usually always do.
Thank you so much for for accepting our invite here. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you on board here sometime soon again.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I've had a lovely time. It's always great talking with you. And it's a pleasure being back on your show. I wish you every goodness and continued success. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. Adebayo.
Bye, and have a wonderful new week.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed this very episode. If you have any question regarding this episode, please feel free to send me a DM or leave me a message below. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get to know each time we release any content on this very platform. Turn on your bell notification so you can get notified.